Hey, welcome to Dating Advice for Men Who Love Women. There's no escaping that a big part of being a human being is our feelings, the way that we feel. And when it comes to interacting with a woman in dating and in a relationship, feelings are an even bigger part of that. And so there's this idea out there that facts don't care about your feelings. Well, when it comes to interacting with a woman, a lot of times the feelings don't care about the facts. And so the way that we feel as human beings is a big part of the truth of our experience. And in your relationship or connection with a woman, it's an even bigger part of it than we might think at first. And if you just think about it for a second, it makes sense, right? Because attraction is a feeling. And romantic love is a feeling. So your romantic connection with a woman, whether you want to attract her for one night or for a lifetime, is based on feelings. And a lot of times in your connection with a woman, feelings are the truth. And in this video, I'm going to talk about what that means in general. And then I'm going to talk about how to apply this principle in the early stages of dating, like on your first and second date, and then in a relationship with a woman. And so first, what does feelings are the truth mean with a woman at a general level? Well, one thing that it definitely means is that her interest level to a large degree determines how she sees you. In other words, the more romantically interested she is in you, the better she thinks you are. The image of you in her mind is better the higher her interest level. And you might have experienced this before. When a woman first meets you and you start liking each other more and more, she starts thinking that you're better and better and better. And then maybe you've experienced this on the other side of that, where you've been in a relationship and her romantic interest is going down and down and down. And all of a sudden, she starts seeing all of your flaws a lot more clearly. Her impression of you, her image of you in her mind is mostly determined by how interested she is in you at any given time. And this is why you might think like, oh, that woman's with a jerk. Well, in her mind, he's not, because she's very interested in him. And her feelings don't care about the facts on paper. It doesn't matter how good you are for her on your resume, how solid your job is, how much her friends and family love you. That doesn't matter if her feelings are not already there. Those factual things can come into it as a rationalization for why she likes you or loves you so much, but her actual feelings are primary. And her feelings are not necessarily based on those kinds of facts. So you want to separate those facts from the way she feels about you and focus on the things that allow her to feel strongly about you and stay strongly interested in you over the long term if you want a relationship. Or if you're just having fun for now, you want her feelings for you to grow really quickly and for her to feel very comfortable with you right away as well, so that she's ready to go back to your place or hers with you. And again, those feelings are not necessarily connected to any kind of resume stats or accounting facts. It's its own layer of truth in this reality lasagna that we live in. And when you're interacting with women, it's a really good idea to focus on the feelings. And when you focus on that layer of reality, you're going to be more successful with women and you're going to be happier in general. And so just keep in mind that the way she sees you is largely based on her romantic interest level in you. And as she starts to fall deeply in love with you over time, if you do everything right, she starts seeing all the great qualities that you have and she focuses on those. That's what she sees. And when her interest starts dropping, she starts seeing all of the flaws that you have as a human. And so the quote, actual truth is that you are an awesome, attractive guy, and you're also a flawed human at the same time. And whatever part of that she leans into is based mostly on her interest level. And a lot of guys don't really get this, and they try to kind of convince her logically why she should stay with him or be attracted to him. And that's just running down the wrong road because those feelings don't necessarily care about the facts. All right, and so how can we apply this principle in the early stages of dating and then in a relationship with a woman? Well, when you first meet a woman or you're going on a first or second date, you can apply this by feeling totally free to make things up, to create a vibe, to enhance and create certain feelings. You don't have to stick to some kind of boxy reality with a woman, and in fact, it's a good idea not to a lot. Now, this doesn't mean that you wanna lie to her or misrepresent yourself when it comes to kind of, like, bigger, more important things. It just means that you can feel free to make stuff up if it helps both of you feel the way that you need to feel to be together. And if your feelings behind what you're doing for her are true, and the feelings you want her to experience are true, then making stuff up is also part of this truth. And you should feel totally free to do that. And I'm going to give you 3 specific examples of how to do this so you know exactly what I mean right now. So, the first example that I want to talk about is breaking up with her or divorcing her on a first or second date. Now, the reality is there's no relationship here to break up. You're not in a relationship yet and you're not married yet. So, it's not based on reality. But the feelings that you're creating are like attraction, tension, maybe even a little love starting to form. Because in a romantic connection, unlike being friends with someone, you need some tension. And this is a way to playfully push her away, which allows her to feel more attracted to you and more interested in you. And what does that mean? She's going to have a better image of you in her mind because her feelings for you are going to be higher. It's not based on what you might think of as reality, even though this is part of reality too. So when you're on a first or second date with her, and you want to do this when she actually says something that you like, not when you actually disagree with what she's saying. Okay. So let's say that she says she likes sushi and you love sushi as well. Well, instead of just going with the like boxy truth and saying, like, oh, yeah, I love sushi too, which you can a little bit sometimes, of course. Sometimes, once in a while, like once or twice on the first couple of dates, to get a little spark going, to add that tension and attraction in, you can say something like, wait, you like sushi? Ugh, that's it. I'm going to have to break up with you now. I just can't stand people who have bad taste in food or whatever. Just make it up to have some tension. And then you say, just kidding, I actually love sushi too. And even though it's completely made up and not based on, quote, reality, it still creates those feelings that we want her to experience, which is better for her too. She's going to get to feel more attraction and more interested in a great guy, you. And she's going to see you as a great guy when her feelings go up, not because you're, quote, actually a good guy. So being a good guy in her mind is doing all the things that allow her to feel stronger feelings for you. And one of them is playfully pushing her away sometimes. And a great example of that is breaking up with her, pretending to break up with her or divorce her on the first or second date when you're not even in a relationship yet. So that's a great example of how this feelings are the truth applies to interacting with a woman in the early stages of dating. And then a couple more examples. Number 2, you can compliment her about something that she might feel good about, even if you're neutral about it. Now, this whole video was actually inspired by my interaction with a client, and we're kind of going through the process of how to get better at just meeting people in general and meeting women specifically. And one challenge that I gave him was to just give a random woman a compliment. And I used an example of like, hey, those are nice boots. Hey, that's a nice backpack. Hey, I really like your jacket or whatever. And then he came back to me and he's like, well, I'm not really into fashion and I don't know anything about it. So how can I give her a compliment on something when I don't even know if it's good or not? And I totally understand this frame because when I was a little kid, before I got into context a lot, which I focus on now, my parents used to call me Mr. Literal sometimes because I was kind of really strongly in that boxy reality and things are straightforward and this is the way it is. And with a woman, a lot of times it's the opposite of that. So I totally understand this frame of mind of like, well, what do you mean? I don't know anything about fashion. How do I know if it's a cool jacket or not? Make it up because the feelings are the truth. You want her to feel good. That's why you're giving a compliment. Now, I might need to remind you, you should limit yourself to giving a woman one compliment per date. So we don't want to over compliment her. But if you are giving her a compliment, you can make it up a little bit. Now, you want your compliments to be genuine if it's possible. But you can also make a comment about something that you think she'll feel good about, and you can make it up. So if you don't really know anything about fashion, just make it up. Say, that's a really cool jacket. Just say it is because it is a cool jacket and it's not. Both are actually true. So you can just lean into the side that it is a cool jacket. Maybe some people disagree. It's a matter of taste. So you can just say, hey, that's a really cool jacket. Where'd you get it? Make it up if you have to. Now, it's better if you really actually like the jacket and you say, hey, that's a really cool jacket, by the way, or that jacket looks great on you, by the way. That's a little better, but to create those feelings that we want her to have and your feelings are sincere, if you want her to feel good, it's still part of feelings are the truth. And you can just make it up. You don't have to stick in that boxy reality. And with women, sometimes you need to stretch that. You don't want to stretch the truth about who you are. You don't want to lie to her. You don't want to be dishonest. If she asks you if you're interested in her, you say, yeah, of course I am. You don't deny the truth at the deeper level. But on a surface level, we're going to stretch it and bend it and play with it so that she has the right feelings that we both want her to have. Make sense? Awesome. And then lastly, number 3, another thing that you can do to apply feelings are the truth with a woman in the early stages of dating is to disagree with her at least once, even if you don't really, in quote, reality disagree with her. Okay, so here's the thing. When we're building a connection with someone and we're like, oh, I like golf. Oh, me too. I love traveling. Me too. I love tacos. Me too. That's good for building friendship and kind of connecting with people, kind of sharing those things that we agree on, right? Well, when you're interacting with a woman in a romantic sense, again, you need some tension as well. So if you start to feel like you're agreeing with her on everything too much, then throw in a disagreement, even if you actually agree still. Okay, so if your conversation is going like she's saying like, I love golf, and you're like, "Oh, me too. That's really cool. We can play together." And then she's like, "I really love traveling." And you're like, "Who doesn't? Of course, it's awesome. Tell me about one of your favorite trips." And then she's like, "I really love tacos. It's my favorite food." And you're like, "Oh my gosh, me too." That's a lot of you kind of agreeing with her, right? Which is cool. It's good to build that connection, but we also wanna push her away a little bit sometimes. We wanna have that tension. So it needs to be a balance of that. So if you feel like it's going that way, one thing you can do is when she says the next thing, like let's say you're talking about music and she's like, "Oh, I really like The Weekend." And let's say that you like The Weekend as well. And so in this case, I'm talking about something where you actually agree with her in reality, quote, right? And so let's say she says, "Yeah, I really like The Weekend." Then you can drop in a fake disagreement like, "What? You like The Weekend? Are you serious? I'm sorry, I gotta break up with you. I can't date people with bad music taste." And then after a pause to let those feelings marinate a little bit for a second, then you can say, "Ha, just kidding. I love The Weekend too. Maybe we can go to his concert together sometime." Whatever. So you're gonna bring it back and you're gonna say the actual quote truth after this, but you're gonna show her that you are able to disagree with her. And so if you kind of feel like you're agreeing with each other too much, one time on that date, throw in even a fake disagreement just to show that you can and to build a little tension because those feelings that we want to create are the truth. And then just another little bonus to make sure this concept really sinks in for you is when you're having a first or second date with a woman or your first conversation with her, you can ask her a question like, if you could be any animal, what would you be and why? Or if you could be any dinosaur, what would you be and why? And I want to just include this here because it really goes deeper into this concept. So, what does this show? Well, these topics are not that serious. You're not saying, like, what are your life's goals and dreams? And, like, you're not really going in a serious way into the reality of who she is. But you're still getting to know her and asking her to share things about herself with you at the same time. And so this is a fun, lighthearted way to get to know her. And it feels really personal to her, even though it's not that serious. Why do you think a lot of women love astrology so much? It's about them, it's personal. It feels like the whole universe is related to them as an individual, right? Like, "Oh, I'm special. This is about me. It's about her," right? And maybe or maybe not based on the truth or, quote, "actual reality," right? Or like those personality tests online. It feels personal, but it's really just kind of light and fun. So anytime you can make something about her, but kind of fun and playful, most women are gonna lean into that even if they're not the kind that are into astrology. And so I highly recommend you to apply that when you're on a first or second date with her. So ask her some fun questions like this, because she's still sharing something with you about herself. It's just in a fun, lighthearted way. And that's great because feelings are the truth when it comes to dating a woman. And then what about once you're in a relationship with a woman? How can we apply this principle there? Well, I'm going to give you three ways that you can do that as well. So, first of all, once you're in a relationship with a woman, you want to try to have disagreements versus arguments as much as you can. So, there's this idea out there that all couples have arguments, and that's actually not true. Some couples, and it might be a small percentage, but there are some out there, only have disagreements. And the main difference here is that when you have a disagreement, you both still respect and have strong feelings for each other in general. It doesn't affect your general impression of the other person when you're disagreeing with them about something. So you put the focus on the disagreement itself and not on the other person. And she does that for you. That's a disagreement. And you're not trying to win necessarily. You want to work with her as a team to solve whatever issue it is that you're talking about. And you're not going to insult each other or put each other down or scream and yell. For the most part, as much as you can, you're going to calmly talk through things. So do that as much as you can. And when you're approaching a disagreement with her, don't think of it as kind of like a debate tournament where you're trying to win and get your points across. You want to resolve it with her as a team as much as you possibly can. And then next, number two, this one's even more practical. You want to make her look good in public, and you don't want to try to force her to see, quote, reality or, quote, the truth in the moment when she's talking to you about something emotionally. You want to bring up reality later. So let's say you're out somewhere having dinner with your friends and family, and your girlfriend or your wife says something that you want to correct her about. Well, you don't really want to do that in front of everyone and embarrass her. In that moment there with all of your friends and or family, you want to either stay silent and neutral or build her up. Those are your two choices. So if you strongly disagree with what she's saying or you really strongly want to correct her, just stay neutral and don't say anything. Make sure that you make her look good when you're in public with her. And then later, when you get home and you're by yourself with her, you're alone together, then give her your real impression of that and talk to her about it. That's when you want to express that, not in front of everyone and make her look bad. Okay, so hopefully you find someone who does this for you as well, and then you do this for her. Make her look good at public, and then bring up reality later if you still want to. Okay, and same thing, let's say you wake up in the morning, you're having coffee together or whatever, and she says something that she obviously feels strongly about, and you know that there's something wrong with it, and you want to point it out and make her face the reality and truth right away. That's not really probably going to work very well. It's probably going to backfire on you, and she's probably not going to see what you're saying in that moment. So you might do better if you consider that the way she's feeling in that moment is the truth right now, and then bring up your side of the truth like the next day or 2 days later. Like, hey, by the way, did you think about this? And a lot of times, by the way, she'll already agree with you by then because she thought it through more and her emotions are calmer now. And now you can have a more constructive conversation. So it's not a good idea to resist what she's saying in the moment, especially if she feels strongly about it. Just focus on the way that she's feeling and either remain neutral or support her in that moment. Just say, yeah, I understand how you could see it that way. Or, yeah, I totally understand how you're feeling about that. It totally makes sense. And then the next day or 2 days later, say, hey, by the way, when you were talking about this thing the other day, did you think about this part? And at that point, she's much more likely to be like, "Yeah, I totally see that too." And now you're having a constructive conversation because you didn't try to force, quote, reality into that situation because in that moment, her feelings were the truth. This could save you a lot of pain and suffering in a relationship with a woman. All right. And then lastly, number 3, you want to celebrate her wins fully, even if there's some negative aspect to it. So, for example, let's say that she hates the company that she works for, but then she gets a promotion at that workplace. And she comes home to you and she's like, "Hey, honey, I just got promoted." And she's really happy and excited about her promotion. What you don't want to do is say, "But don't you hate working there?" That's not the best way to handle the situation. What you wanna do is amplify those good feelings in that moment first. So when she says, "Hey, honey, I got promoted," you're like, "Oh, that's so awesome. You totally deserve it. Let's celebrate." And you just wanna celebrate with her in that moment and that evening. And then maybe the next day or 2 or 3 or 4 days later, then you can say, "Hey, by the way, I know you just got promoted, but do you really still wanna work there? I thought you didn't really like working at that company." Do you think this is kind of maybe a way for them to keep you there even though you don't want to be there? Then you can talk to her about the quote reality of it. But in that moment, you want to expand those good feelings that she's having instead of minimizing them. That's called capitalization. And it's a big part of having a satisfying relationship with a woman. So you want to find a woman who does that for you too, who doesn't minimize it when you have some kind of win or bring in some negative aspect to it. And you wanna do it for her too. So even if there's some kinda negative thing there that you would like to talk about with her, in that moment, just expand those good feelings and then wait a little while, a day or 2 or 3 or 4, and then talk about the full what you think of as reality about it. But don't bring it down in that moment. And if you do that, you're gonna have a lot better relationship with her, and she's gonna be happier as well. And so when it comes to interacting with a woman, never forget that a lot of times feelings are the truth. And that layer of reality is a lot more important than a lot of the other layers in a lot of situations with a woman. And if you want a woman to feel deeply in love with you and stay deeply in love with you as long as you want to be with her, so that she actually sees you as the awesome, attractive man you are and never really focuses too much on your flaws, then make sure you grab our best selling Attract and Keeper system if you haven't already. Because once you go through the Attract and Keeper system, you'll know exactly what to do every step of the way from the first moment you meet a woman until you're with her for 75 years to make sure that her romantic interest in you goes up over time and then remains high forever so that she always sees you in the best possible light and so you can build a great relationship with her. So if you want a long-term relationship with your ideal woman, make sure you get the Attract and Keep Her system, and that's linked in the description below, or you can scan the QR code on the screen. And if you're not necessarily looking for a relationship right now and you're just having fun and you want the women you're dating to feel very attracted to you really quickly and also very comfortable with you right away so that she's ready and willing to go back to your place or her place with you, and you want to do that in a way that feels good to both of you the next day as well, then make sure you go through the Good Guy Guide if you haven't already. And again, that's linked in the description below, or you can scan the QR code on the screen. And lastly, we have a lot of really good free content for you, and it's not just the other videos on this YouTube channel, which I highly recommend checking out as many of those as you can. We also have full free courses. One is about building a long-term relationship with a woman, and one is about body language, for example. And we have free ebooks and, of course, a lot of free articles on our website as well. So if you want any of our awesome free stuff beyond this YouTube channel, then just go to our main website, which is datingadviceformenwholovewomen.com. Or again, you can click on the link below or scan the QR code on the screen. Always remember, when it comes to interacting with a woman, feelings are the truth. I'm Jim Wolf with Dating Advice for Men Who Love Women, and I'll talk to you later.